I will invest in relationships. I'll take the time to build relationships with our customers, our vendors, and our employees. I will show compassion, build trust, forgive, and care for others. When I think about this pledge, I really key in on the investment word. I will invest in relationships, and I look at that in comparison to, I guess, the opposite way of spending money, or the opposite way of using money, which is spending money. And so I look at, okay, spending money, what does that look like? Investing money, what does that look like? And when you spend money, it's always a short-term goal. I'm spending money at the gas station. I'm giving them money. They're giving me gasoline. It's a very much transactional basis approach. You're giving a set amount for something and getting something in return. When I think about investment, it's obviously very different. Investments are usually for very long term, whether that be a year or 10 years or 50 years. But investment is something that you're putting a lot into, and for the hope of getting some sort of great return in the long run. But when you make an investment, at least if you're a reasonable person or a reasonable investor, you're also thinking about the fact that, hey, there's going to be ups and downs, right? I mean, like, we all have some money that's in some 401k or stock account or whatever, and that, hey, some days the stock account does great, some days it doesn't. Sometimes that goes for years on end, but you're sticking with it with the belief that, hey, it's going to turn out good in the end. And we all know that some stocks just simply fail, and that's a part of the process. But that doesn't stop us, from continuing to make good investments into what we do. And I think that really translates when I think about our relationships. We don't need to have a spending mentality like sometimes people have with relationships of, I'm gonna do this for this person, they do it for me. We really need to look at how are we investing, looking for that long term, knowing there's going to be good days and bad days. And I think of many of the investments that I do, I'm not just looking at what am I going to ultimately get out of it, even in the long run, but what are my kids and my family and friends going to get from that? And I think that's the same perspective we have to have when we look at the relationships. Is it's not just about what do I get out of it. What does the whole organization or community or my family get from that? And really taking that approach. I think from a practical perspective, a good way to do that is I think about Gary Chapman wrote this book called The 5 Love Languages. And he talks about, you got physical touch, you got acts of service, you got quality time, you got words of affirmation, and you got gifts. And everybody receives and gives love in a different sort of flavor. Same way that, I love a good cheeseburger and somebody else might love a good salad. People like to give and receive love in different ways. And so I'd really challenge you, both, hey, at home, I think it's a great use for that, as well as in the working environment. Consider how, the way that you may be thinking you're showing somebody a lot of appreciation, or love, and they may not be receiving it at the same level or rate that you think that you're giving it, and the same way they may be showing something to you that maybe you're not looking at. So I think using those love languages to help interpret for us and seeing what people are doing and appreciating, the appreciation that people are giving to us, and then also learning, hey, sometimes maybe I'm an acts of service kind of person, but maybe somebody just needs a word of encouragement, and that would have a bigger impact on them than doing something for them. So me, figuring out what's the best way to invest in, a relationship that I value. So, hey, as we go, consider, our customers, your fellow employees, vendors, the community as a whole. I really want us to have the philosophy as a company that, hey, we're in these relationships for the long haul. We're looking at them as investments, even if it doesn't, appear that maybe there's going to be, any kind of fast return on it. We're going to continue to slug through it. And have endurance, knowing, hoping that in the end that there's going to be a great reward from that, not only for us, but for the entire community and for our families. So this year as you go, don't have the spending mentality, but take the investment mentality.